Right, so here we are, Barrow Beer Festival, first beer festival back after the lockdown. Got my glass, I've got my beer tokens, and we're starting to look round at what beers we've got available. I must say it's really nice to get back to this sort of thing. I've really missed having a good beer or two outside. I'll give you a quick look round a little bit later on. This is an absolutely brilliant festival. It's run in an old railway roundhouse. And so you get, if you're into beer, you're into trains, and you're into pork pies, it's an absolutely brilliant place to go. So right, introduction's over. I'm going to go and get myself my first beer. See you later. Okay, so first beer out, we've got an Ossett Excelsius. It's a dry hopped IPA. Give it a sample, see what it's like. So again, we're getting that floral texture from the beer. We've got, I'm guessing it's going to be hops like Cascade, those American floral hops, that sort of grapefruit, mango flavour that you get from that. It's been dry hopped, comes in at 5.2%, quite a head on it. Yeah, you can get a flake with that's the old saying, isn't it? So yeah, first beer back at a beer festival, absolutely lush. Brilliant to be doing this. Cheers everybody. Onwards and upwards. This is the key one in the place, the beer token stand. You need to get your beer tokens in. Quite a busy night out tonight. There's quite a range of beers available, and we've got some nice ciders as well. I'll have to give that a try later on. Partial to a nice cider. And this is the roundhouse, so as you can see we've got trains around. Those of you who are into your trains, they have the old 532 Blue Peter here at times. Oh, pork scratchings, awesome. Love a nice pork scratching. Sample some of the food later on. But here we are, Barrow Hill Real Ale, Real Ale Festival. So drink number 2 is Leather Breeches Lemon and Ginger. Leather Breeches Brewery based down in the Derbyshire Dales. Big hit of lemongrass in there. The ginger comes along a little bit later on in the drink. It's quite a lightly hopped beer, very malty. Been to a couple of festivals at Leather Breeches Brewery when it was at the old the pub that they had. They've moved out from there. It's quite a pity really. But there used to be some really good festivals there. But yeah, this is a nice drop of beer. It comes in about 3.8% ABV. Quite a light session beer. The band's starting up now. Catch you later after the next beer. So on to the next one. This is Shipstand's Gold Star. So Shipstands are an old established Nottingham brewery. Of course, this being in Chesterfield, lots of the beers in the area are sort of Midlands sort of beers. It's brewed with Fuggles, which is a good old-fashioned English hop, and Cascade. So we're looking for that sort of fruitiness that you get from the Cascade, the American hops in there. Yeah, I used to drink Shipstan's Best Bitter quite a lot when I was younger. Let's say growing up in this area, Shipstan's was one of the local brews that came from Nottingham. Shipstan's, Hardy Hanson's. So yeah, let's give this a go. I'm expecting Nottingham beers. It's quite soft water. You get that soft maltiness in the beers. That was fairly typical of Hardy Hanson's beers, and certainly from Shipstan's brewery. It was a big old brewery, Shipstan's. Just been talking to the guys from the brewery. They moved round the corner, slightly smaller operation, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. Trains again behind me, so let's give this a go. So some Fuggles and Cascade hops in this. So the Fuggles character's definitely there. It's that old-fashioned Yorkshire bitter, Nottinghamshire bitter flavour. It's a traditional bitter hop that you get from that. The Cascade's giving it that sort of fruitiness at the back end of it. So the use of these American hops, you're getting more of the bitterness. You're getting quite interesting flavours developing in that. That's nice. That's definitely in the IPA range. It's an IPA strength beer at sort of 5%. Yeah, very refreshing. It's a good choice. So yeah, Shipstand's Gold Star. So here we go. The next beer, Thornbridge Jaipur, had to be done. 6%, rather pleasant IPA. Now, the thing about coming to these sessions is that you don't come on your own. You come with a complete set of reprobates. Just bear with me 1 minute. So here we have the reprobates.
That one in particular.
That's definitely a reprobate. And as you can see around, yeah, pies, pizzas, liver and onion sandwiches, whatever next. So we've come outside for this one. This is a very different beer. It's a mild, quite an old-fashioned drink, brewed with typically a crystal malt and some typical British hops. It's from Tyndall Brewery. It's quite light drinking, only 3.7% ABV. Here we go. So quite smooth. You get that dark character that you get from the crystal malt, that almost chocolatey flavour, the coffee, the roasted flavours. The hops that you typically get in the mild, things like Northern Brewer, Fuggles, Goldings, so typical British hops, moving away from the newer characteristics of the American hops. So yeah, very traditional British drink, an old-fashioned type of drink, something we don't see very many of. I did look for a Timothy Taylor's mild. They've got a couple of Taylor's milds, they've got a couple of Taylor's beers that absolutely typically they've all sold out. So Bolt Maker, one of my favourite pale ales, absolutely sold out really quickly. Taylor's, when they brew Bolt Maker, they also brew Ram Tam, which is a darker version. So they add caramel to the brew for Bolt Maker. Very rare you see that outside West Yorkshire. Last time I had Ram Tam was probably the Junction in Otley, and if you're into real ales, that is certainly a pub to look at visiting. So yeah, here we are, a glass of mild, a little bit different tonight, lower alcohol, some of the other drinks we've had, very palatable, and at this point in time, very welcome. Cheers, on to the next one. So this one is Blue Bee Brewery, everything in its right place. It's a 6.2% IPA. Let's give it a go, see what we're at. So there's that real fruity sort of flavour you get from the American IPA type hops. The cascades. Yeah, there's a definite mango flavour. Grapefruit comes through quite strongly. Let's say it's one of the stronger IPAs at 6.2%. And here we are, we've got trains again. So a little bit of a look around. Band in the background. Got some train bogies there. So, at 6.2%, not really a session IPA, more of a short drinking IPA. Nice thing about beer festivals, they come in half pints, quite drinkable at that level. Yeah, that's a really nice IPA. Very balanced, good maltiness in the background. You've got the alcohol strength, as I say, it comes in at 6.2%. fruity. You know, the fruity hops are coming through very, very strongly. Very drinkable, very enjoyable. Yeah, it's a very, very, very nice addition to tonight's selection of beers. So, this one down, on to the next one. Oh, by the way, I've rejoined Canberra. Main reason for that was because I got the free pint of beer as a reward for doing it. Been a member on and off for a while. I got quite out of shape about the idea of supporting craft beers. Yeah, I mean, the question is a craft beer a real ale? If it's treated and put into a can or a bottle without a sediment, has it been cask conditioned or bottle conditioned? Is that an argument we need to be having? Should we be supporting these smaller brewers or putting a lot of effort into coming up with something? Yeah, this is an excellent beer, very well worth drinking. Do we just, you know, do we move on? Do we move on from the idea everything has to be cask conditioned? That was a turning point recently, and they were discussing how they dealt with beers that were being put into cans, and they put the brew into a plastic bag and they take it up and they can it. No pasteurisation, no filtration. Is it real ale? It's a question that's well worth asking. To be honest, I'm happy with this. I am. We've got brewers who are really putting the heart and soul into coming up with classic, really flavourful beers. Yeah, I like it. So there we go. Cheers. So tonight's next brew, should you be able to hear me, is an animal brewing company, Axolotl. So, interesting story here. What is an axolotl? So, a good school friend of mine, Peter Vince, had a canoe, and he was registering the canoe to be able to use on British waterways, so to ride it on the Chesterfield Canal. Now, at the time, to be able to register a boat to run on British waterways, you had to give the boat a name. So Peter chose the name of the Axolotl. So an axolotl is it's a newt. It's quite interesting. It has its gills externally, so it's quite an interesting creature. So yeah, that's the animal brewing company Axolotl. So what's the beer like? It's listed as an amber ale. It certainly has that amber ale look to it. It's a darker beer. We're not using crystal malt. Pale malt. We're using some of the crystal malt in the brew. A lot of British hops on the nose. So very much a traditional British. First thing that comes to mind when tasting it is Newcastle Amber Ale. Now, Newcastle Amber is a beer, if you've not tasted it, you will be sorely missing a treat. It's probably disappeared now. It was the lighter, easier drinking ale, partner of Newcastle Brown Ale. Newcastle Brown was a strong malted beer. Newcastle Amber Ale was a much more cultured, lighter drinking beer, and this is very much in the stamp of that amber ale. As a child, I lived in a tenant's pub, and Tenant's Amber was one of those drinks. Now, I am not going to profess to having drunk Tenant's Amber as a child. Didn't happen. Actually, it probably did. As a child, I was put into a pushchair, sat in the bar in the pub, and when my parents came to pick me up, I got out of the pushchair and fell flat on my face. Apparently, I've been drinking Tenant's Amber most of the afternoon. But amber ales, they're traditionally a cross between pale malt, crystal malt. We're looking at hops like Fuggles and Northern Brewer. They tend to be the hops that you would see in a beer like this, and they are the taste that I'm getting from this. There's a soft bitterness. It's not a really in-your-face bitterness. It's a softer, easy drinking beer. Very much an old-fashioned type of beer. Very, very pleasant. So there we go. Animal Brewing Company, Axolotl. Cheers. So we're getting quite late on into the evening, and this is a Welbeck Abbey Greendale Oak. So Welbeck Abbey, it's an interesting place. Originally the homes of the Dukes of Newcastle. A lot of the abbey is actually built underground. So there's an underground ballroom, and many years ago in a brass band I actually played in an underground concert in the Welbeck Abbey ballroom. Quite an experience, and I'm sure some of the guys who played in the band with me at the time will sort of recollect that. So that was with Harworth Colliery Band, probably back in the 1990s, early 1990s, late 1980s perhaps. Actually it would have been the 1980s, before I moved up to the northeast of England. So Welbeck Abbey, it's an absolutely wonderful estate. The Duke of Newcastle at the time built a lot of the estate underground. There's a tunnel from Worksop, or from the Worksop end of the estate into the estate. There's a very good garden centre there, well worth a visit, and there's also an absolutely awesome cafe that produces some absolutely superb food. I'm saying absolutely quite a lot here. It's quite late at night. I've had one or two beers too many, but there we go. So this beer, let's give it a go. So a fairly traditional British IPA. Lots of fairly traditional hops in there. We're looking at there's certainly a taste of Fuggles hops in there. It's got that very traditional British bitter taste to it. Quite a pleasant beer. Very much enjoying this one. It's been quite a good night tonight. It's been really good to get back to a beer festival. I mean, you know, we've had a really hard time with lockdowns recently. And getting back to going out and having a beer together. And the one thing I will say about this festival is the distancing's been great. Normally at the Barrow Hill Rail Ale Festival I would have expected shoulder to shoulder at the bars, and that's certainly not been the case. There's been plenty of space. They've allowed people to get in here, yet allowed them to have some space between each other, which has been absolutely brilliant, well worth doing. And it's been a really good evening, really enjoyed it. If you're into trains, if you're into railway history, if you're into steam trains, diesel trains, then seriously come down to Barrow Hill. They have a really good collection of trains. It is something well worth looking at. Now, way back in the day, my first real job after leaving university, I worked in South Yorkshire Ambulance Service. I was one of the first paramedics to become qualified in South Yorkshire. I do still volunteer with Yorkshire Ambulance Service, and I am a first responder in Harrogate. I think it's very important that everyone understands that CPR saves lives. Now, here we go. We've got a CPAD, a community public access defibrillator, and these are all over the country. Now, they are very easy to use. They tell you exactly what to do. Learn how to use one. Learn where they are. Go out and learn how to do CPR. It's really straightforward. You might save someone's life. That's just my aside here. So anyway, let's go back to enjoying the evening. There we go. Roundhouse Rail Ale Festival. Cheers. I don't know if you can hear this. This is a Little Ox Yabba Dabba Doo. Quite a brown IPA, so we're looking at a crystal malt in this one. Quite a fruity hop. Whoa man, it's getting late at night. Yeah, not sure I should be analysing beers at this stage. But hey, beer festivals are back. Let's have a look behind them. So, Barrow Hill Beer Festival. Cheers, everyone. Right, we're back from the beer festival, and it's time for a few drams of whiskey. Now, first of all, we are going to go with Glenlivet Nudura. This is a cask strength whiskey. Let's just have a quick look at the bottle. At 63.1% ABV. Now, where do we go? Do we put water with this, or do we just go for it straight? Let's try it straight, starting off. First thing I get from that is a sherry cask. Yeah, there is a definite sherry character to the back of that. Oh, that is one hell of a malt. That is really, really, really impressive. Now, what do you do with whiskies at this strength? So, Steve, bless his little cotton socks, here he is. He is not able to have them at full cask strength, and that's the way the world goes. Yeah, let's be honest. Splash of water has to be the way to go. What is it? 60% alcohol? Really? Do you want to drink that? Splash of water in it that is excellent. Oh yeah, that works. That works. So Glenlivet, they're maturing the whiskies in sherry, and they're maturing the whiskies in bourbon casks. The character I'm getting from this is very much, it's very much a sherry character. That sweetness of sherry is there. It's, yeah, that is an excellent whiskey. So, yeah, Glenlivet Nudura. That is, what does it say? Gaelic definition, Nudura, natural. Yeah, that has the absolute characters of a whiskey. The literal translation of whiskey, Uskavar, water of life, Uskavar, and that's a superb drink. That is really, really excellent. This is going to turn into a hell of a night tonight, guys. I'm really sorry. Yeah, it's all his fault. It's all Steve's fault. I am going to blame him entirely for what happens tonight. But hey, yeah, Glenlivet and Nudura. Yeah, if you are a single malt fan, head out, find yourself a bottle of this. Steve, how much was it? Too much? Yeah. Too much? He's just smiling. Hey. I'm not going to say anything more. He's just, I am not saying any more. It is too much. That is one hell of a whiskey. Classic Highland malt. Really, really good. Next, we're going to come on to Carmor. That's a 2010 single distilled Carlisle. I can tell you a real story about Carlisle, and it does involve Steve. Back shortly. All right, so we're on to the next single malt. So here we have a Carlisle.
So Carlisle's on the northeast coast of Islay. As you move up the coast from the south, you have the Carlisle Distillery and you have the Bunnahabhain Distillery. And we're going to come on to Bunnahabhain next. It's very definitely a peated malt. Let's have a quick look at the strength on this. So we're at 47.5%. Now, if you're into Islay malts, Islay is northwest coast of Scotland. It's a small island, and pretty much its entire business is Islay malt whisky. There are 8 distilleries on the island now. There were 7. There are now 8. Some of them are mothballed. So Port Ellen, you're looking at a mothballed distillery, which is quite sad. Pretty much the rest of them are all open. New one that's opened is up on the northwest coast of the island. And that's a stunning part of the island. It really is well worth visiting. Yeah. Some really ancient parts of history up there. There's a crannog, and if you're into the idea of the history of the islands, the cranog's well worth visiting. So this is a Carmor Edition. It's a single malt Carlisle, 9 years aged, bottled in 2019, so distilled in 2010. The characteristics of Islay malts are all smoke. They smoke the Islay malts. There is a. You go down to Port Ellen. Oh, lights are going on and off here. You go down to Port Ellen and you've got the maltings, and a lot of the barley that's grown on the island is malted at the Port Ellen maltings. And it's smoked to a specific recipe. Now, if you're going to get into the Islay malts, the highest levels of smoke are in the Ardbeg distillery. They really do for the highest levels of phenolics in there. Carlisle is one of the northeastern coast. It overlooks Jura. Now, Jura. Seriously, if you really want a quiet day out, chilled out, get the Islay ferry from Islay to Jura and just sit round King's Barnes. There is a children's play area, and it's the most peaceful place I've ever been with kids. It is remarkable. It really is, and I'm sure Steve will remember that. We were sitting there.
As you said, they have hedgerows of. It literally is one of the most chilled places I've ever been in Scotland.
The year and Jura probably outnumber the people about 500 to 1.
Yeah, we met a guy who we met a guy who was a deer stalker on Jura, and that's exactly what he said. The deer outnumber the people 5 to 1, and Jura venison, Christ man, that is one amazing thing to eat. Anyway, back onto Islay. Carlisle, the sound of Carlisle overlooks the sound of Jura. So you look out from Carlisle Distillery, you look across the sound of Jura towards the Paps, and this is one serious malt. This is one serious malt whiskey. It is stunning. So the first thing you get, the first taste you get is smoke. The malt is smoked. It is smoked over peat fires in the distillery. In the maltings in Port Ellen. It's stunning. Let's look at the character beyond the smoke. So, Islay malts, smoke is the character. They are informed by that smokiness. Beyond that, we're looking at a whiskey. There's a... So Joe says it smells like a distillery. She needed to stand on top of the low wines receiver at our beg to know what a distillery smells like. But you're right. You are absolutely right, Joe. You get exactly what that smell is. It is that smokiness, that maltiness. It just bursts out at you. Absolutely bursts out at you. So yeah, this is one hell of a drink. So Carmor 2010 single malt Carlisle, and we've got that Islay malt, we've got that Islay smoke, we've got the bourbon cask character sitting in there. More bourbon cask than there is sherry cask. It's that vanilla flavour to it. It doesn't have the sweetness. So there we go. So Carlisle 2010. How many more have we got to go tonight? 4. Ooh.